feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
So it's really nice here. It's a Friday in Charleston, South Carolina, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel, known in Columbia by some or a lot, the Mountain Man, the Light Bulb. There's all kinds of nicknames. But Gus, good to see you, brother. How you doing?
Eric, man, doing great. I feel a little shorter than most days, but but you know, hanging in there, man.
Yeah, because X is 6'7".
Yeah.
You still 6'7"?
On most good days, I am.
Yeah, 6'7". Well, at least he was. And X is now the tallest guy to ever be on the shrimp tank. Yesterday we had Marcus Ogden, who played in the NFL. He's 6'6". His brother's Jonathan Ogden, the offensive lineman for the Ravens that's in the Hall of Fame. Remember him? He thought he was the biggest guy, and then I said, "You're coming in today." So we're going to get into this with X momentarily, but I just want to say, man, we have had so many great shows so far in 2022, man. From Eric Bland talking the Murdaugh murders, Pixie DeZuti talking about how she built her liquor company, the Striped Pig, Sarah Floyd, the master sommelier, building the wine empire called Lou Lee, which actually I enjoyed last night. I had her Chardonnay bottle of wine last night. It was delicious.
Yeah, very good.
And then we had Marcus Ogden recently, the former NFL player who became a businessman, went broke, then rebuilt his career and became a national speaker and business life coach. And I don't want to forget Lori Lapine, who's teaching us, who had taught us about health and nutrition and getting in shape. And actually last week, a good friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, I need to get in better shape." And I liked that episode where you had Lori on, and can I call her? And I said, of course. So I gave her her number, and so just awesome show with her as well as these other guys. And I know today's going to be amazing. Oh, I need to mention, I received an email. I need to bring this up. I want to give this guy credit. I received an email from one of our avid listeners on the show. His name is David Connors, who lives in Charleston, South Carolina. David was inquiring about our discussion on one of our recent shows that we had. I don't remember which one, but it was about where we were creating personal pensions, Gus, for clients.
Yeah.
Or the income for life plans that you've been doing for clients, and how they can expect, that guaranteed money in retirement, and versus just having Social Security. And he was intrigued by the whole concept, but wanted to learn more. And he wrote to me saying, "You didn't provide contact information for you guys or for Gus." And so David pointed out to me, "Gus you're not on the website. I know you give me crap for that." And that is not intentional, David. We are currently, just FYI for anyone who goes to the website, we're currently in the trenches of renovating the entire website. So that should all get fixed and go live in early fall. So just bear with us. But Gus, please share with not only David, but also all listeners, your contact info so that I don't get that email. Well, I appreciate the email, but share David and whomever so they can learn more about creating those personal pensions and income for life. So
yeah, absolutely.
Please go ahead and share that with you. I just didn't want to forget this.
Yeah, and David, thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. You can reach me. My email is gus@doublellc.com. That's GUS@DOUBLEELLC.com. And my phone number is area code 412-334-7210.
All right, so you got that. Gus@EELLC.com and whatever that phone number was. But he's international from Pittsburgh, but he lives in Charleston. Thank you, David, for your email and being an avid listener on the show, and appreciate you. So, all right, enough about all that. We got the X-Man here, who I grew up, I'm 10 years younger than you, brother, and I grew up idolizing you because I knew who you were because you had good press going around in Columbia, South Carolina. And let me just give you guys a quick bio on this gentleman. I know we gave an intro about him, but let me give you a little more bio about him, because I don't think you get enough credit. Okay, so I'm here to give you all the credit that you deserve.
I appreciate it.
So Xavier McDaniel, great name. I love how they call you X. I love that too. He was born and raised in Columbia, South Carolina. He played high school at AC Flora High School alongside with NBA player and coach Tyrone Corbin, who had a very 16-year career in the NBA. He went on to Wichita State and played with NBA players Antoine Carr and Cliff Livingston. He led the nation, and again, these are things that people just don't realize about this gentleman. He led the nation in scoring and rebounds his senior season, becoming the first player to do so, to lead the nation in scoring and rebounds. In 1985, he was drafted in the NBA by the Seattle Supersonics in the first round, Gus. Fourth player overall in the first round. Did you go to New York for?
Yes.
Yeah, and did you go and like shake David Stern's hand?
Yes,
oh my
I
God,
did.
that's freaking cool.
No, I grew up watching this guy, and I was a big Jordan fan. And I'm like, why is he always in Jordan's face? It's just
Well, in 1985, Patrick Ewing was the number one pick, and X was the fourth, which is awesome. He finished second in the Rookie of the Year balloting behind Patrick Ewing. He was an NBA All-Star. He made cameo appearances in the movie, what is it called? Singles in 1992. He was also in Married with Children with Ted Bundy. He made an appearance there. He's been on a whole bunch of other stuff. His daughter, Zelina, am I saying that right?
Yeah, Zelina.
Zelina was one of the top high school basketball recruits in the country. She went on to play for the Tar Heels of North Carolina, had a very good career. His son Xavier Jr. was also a star basketball player who went on to play for the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. And then you have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old?
Well, they're 7 and 4 now.
7 and 4. Boys, girls?
Boys.
Boys. So we probably got some future NBA players there. And then lastly, I want to mention this because I know we have listeners, a lot of business owners and things like that. You need to hire this guy to come and talk to your company, to your employees, to your sales staff. He's awesome. But Xavier averaged, again, his first 8 seasons, this is what he averaged in points. 17 points his rookie year, then 23 points, 21, 21, 21, 19, 14, 14. In his first 8 seasons, I mean, which is amazing, back in 1985 through 97 career during the awesome era. And on top of that, you average 6 to 8 rebounds a game as a 6'7" small forward. So I don't know why they don't hype you up more. And that's what I want to make sure you walk out of here. So everyone in this world knows this dude was amazing basketball player. Not only high school, college, but definitely in the NBA. So hopefully that gives you a perspective of who we're about to get really into. And I promise you, Xavier's going to tell us some exclusive information that he's never shared before, and this is going to go viral, and we're probably going to get on like Entertainment Tonight. But I want to go back, Xavier. So first, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for allowing me to come here.
Oh, man, I'm so psyched to have you, man. So I want to talk about your early life, growing up in Columbia, and that life and what that experience was. And, you know, tell me about did you grow up with money?
No, didn't have a lot of money. My father worked 2 jobs most of his life. I live on the southeast side of town or the south side of town, but right up from the fairgrounds, in a little small section called Edisto Court, right off of Rosewood Drive, and
Rough.
right off of Edisto Avenue. Very, very rough.
Yeah, I grew up in Columbia, and this white Jewish kid wouldn't. I could have gotten away with it there. They would have been okay with me.
As long as you're there in the daytime, not at night.
And so, siblings?
Yes, I have 4 sisters. My mother done raised another kid named, well, we call him Cornelius, real name Cornelius Jones, but my mom basically raised him. So I consider him my brother.
How about from an athletic standpoint? Were you all great athletes?
Just me. My brother played a little bit, and he played a little bit out at Bellevue Community College in Seattle, Washington. He went to the military and then got out the military and then came to Seattle with me and started going to school and went out for the basketball team and became a star player.
So when you grew up in the area you grew up of Columbia, and you say there wasn't a lot of money, define what that life kind of was like, because I know that your story, but I want the listeners to know what it's like to really grow up with no money. Like, give me an example. What does that mean?
Well, no money. To me, that's self-explanatory. You got nothing. But I mean,
air condition.
We didn't have any air condition at all.
No air condition in 100-degree summer humidity in Columbia, South Carolina.
No air condition.
You guys, did you have
No
deodorant?
central,
Did you have deodorant?
Yeah, we had deodorant. I think we used to use Right Guard. Right, I think that was the name of Right Guard.
Okay.
Used to be the spray, and I used to hate it because it made me perspire so much. But, you know, when you don't have a lot of money, but you do have family, and I think that's what made us so close.
Mom and Dad were married together?
Yes, Mom and Dad. We stayed at 1906 Wallace Street for 23 years until 22 years until I moved us over in the Irmo area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so parents still alive?
No, my parents passed away. My dad passed away in 2001. My mother passed away in 2015, I think.
Were they good athletes?
My dad played a little bit, but, you know, he didn't go to high school. He didn't go to middle school. But, you know, played in the streets. And I played against him a couple of times. Dude was crazy.
Were they tall? I mean, how tall were your parents?
My dad was about 5'9", 5'10".
Really?
My mother was about 5 feet, 5'1".
No kidding.
Wow,
Well,
yes.
So who did your mom hook up with? I mean, your dad wasn't there.
Hey, I seen that one day, and I got a gun pull out on me, man. But honestly, my uncles, where I really learned the game at my uncle who passed in 1981, his name, we call him Papa, Joseph Dean. He was a high school player. My other uncle, Rufus Dean, we call him Uncle Son. He was a football player too. But my Uncle Papa, he just took me everywhere. Everywhere he played sandlot baseball, that's where I went. I grew up playing baseball. That was my first love. And I used to, for all those guys, I'll be there, you know, and the catcher got to put his stuff on. I'll be back there catching. I go shag the balls for them and different things when they foul them off and stuff. And I just grew up playing baseball. Started playing baseball at 18. And something happened. I started growing. And as I grew, I got more into basketball.
Did you like baseball more?
Yes.
You did?
I still love baseball to this day.
You like watching the major
Yeah,
leagues?
yeah.
Really? I'm so bored
Yeah, I
watching
love
it.
the Yankees.
Really?
I love the Yankees, yes.
And so, okay, so then you go on, and which I think is really interesting, and I've always thought this is a cool stat, is you go on to AC Flora High School, which I'm familiar with, of course, because being from Columbia, but you play for the legendary Coach Williams, who was probably really won a lot of championships because of you, and then but you play alongside with the 16-year vet and coach Tyrone Corbin, who so you got two guys who make it to the NBA together in high school.
Right.
You're both seniors? You're both same age or whatever?
Same age, yes.
Were you buddies?
I'm a 63. He probably going to say, man, why you say that? But I'm a 63 baby. He's a 62 baby.
Okay.
But he got a December 31st birthday. But I like to mess with him a little bit about that sometimes.
And who was considered better back then? Like in high school? Like, I mean, you're two different players, I guess.
We were two different players, but I think Tyrone did it because he had some older brothers, Larry Corbin and Terry Corbin, which were high school players at our high school before we got there. I think overall Tyrone probably was the better player as far as what he could do, the ball handling, the left-hand layup. I think I was more of the better scorer and probably the better rebounder. And Tyrone was not a bad rebounder himself. I mean, I averaged 14 and he averaged about 12. So we were both very, very good rebounders in high school. But I think when you talk about some of the little stuff, the passes, I think he were better than me at that, running the offense, because we were talking earlier, we would run a play, and I was supposed to drop the pass off to Kenny Saxon, and I would always shoot it. And Coach Williams would take me out the game and get to talking. After about getting taken out 3 or 4 times, I just looked at him and said, well, I ain't missed a shot, Coach. And he's sitting there like, well, we need you to make that pass. Tyrone go in the game, Tyrone makes that pass. I think that's where he was more of a better concept. I just had that scorer's mentality in high school. And
Didn't all of you? Didn't your starting 5? Didn't you all or 4 of the 5 get play in college, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, our whole, except for Kenny Saxon, he wound up going to the military after high school my junior year. But my junior year, we had James Hildebrand went to Wisconsin. Then we had Robert Brandon, 6'8", went to Kent State for basketball. Then he transferred, went to Crowder Junior College, on to Arkansas, played football and basketball at Arkansas, also played in the USFL, Cleveland, and the Saints in NFL.
Really?
And then we had Tony Ashford, who went to South Carolina State. And then you had Tyrone went to DePaul, myself went to Wichita State, Anthony Snooks went to Southern Illinois. So we had a very, very good high school team.
Is this true? Well, we got this. This is a lot of research we've done on this interview before you had come in. Is it true that you had a major crush on the following girls? Okay, from high school. First one is Cassandra Carter. Do you remember Cassandra Carter?
Cassandra Carter. I think that's Chris Carter you talk about.
Well,
I didn't have a crush on her.
All right.
But she was a friend of mine, though.
Yeah, what about Lynn Knox?
I have no idea who Lynn Knox is.
And what about Lori Cornegay? You don't know who that is either? All right, so I did terrible.
Cassandra Carter. I don't even know who Cassandra Carter. I know that we had a Chris Carter at the school.
So I got
Oh, you got the yearbook.
I got the 1981 AC Flora yearbook. Thanks to a gentleman by the name of William Sloan, who is you know William Sloan?
I know William Sloan.
Oh my God, he's going to be so psyched that you know him.
Yes.
Because
Matter of fact,
you played baseball with this guy.
There you go. I get ready to say that.
You got to talk.
Yes.
You got to talk into this
Yes.
mic because he is going to be. You made his day right
Yes.
now.
We went to middle school together too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And I want to say we went there. No, me and William didn't go to elementary. I think he went to Rosewood, but I think we went to middle school together too. But we played baseball for the Lions from 8 years old to like high school.
Oh my God! Wow. You don't. So he's an executive, one of the vice president executives at Nationwide. He lives in Charlotte, and we do business with Nationwide and for our for our day job. Yeah. And so I said, "Do you have an annual?" I'm going to go through this annual, and I'm going to pull and make up crap. So what I did is I went through the senior, and I looked at all the pictures.
Right.
And I was going to be more funny and pick the ugliest person I could find and say you had a crush on her. But then I was like, I don't want to do that. That's mean. So then I went through and looked up who I thought was the best looking women in your grade. I got to tell you, you have very unattractive women in this class, unless I just didn't see them very well or they look different.
I thought we had some cute girls back in the day.
So this is Lynn Knox.
Let me see.
I thought she looks like she's pretty hot.
Yeah, but
You don't remember her?
no, but I see a bunch of other people I know.
What about this Lori Cornegay?
No. I have no idea. I don't even remember them.
God,
in
I
high
probably
school.
made.
I am so sorry.
His focus was on sports, man.
Well, I mean, you get to talking about Martha Jones and Sharon Jones and Kenny McCaster, Tracy McLeod,
Well, let's look up.
Donald McClinton.
Let's make sure Chris
I mean,
Carter.
oh yeah, it's a Chris Carter in there.
But that's a girl, right?
Yes, that's a girl.
I was thinking
That's Chris, her sister. There go Tyrone Corbett.
was she hot?
Precious Cox.
Was she hot?
Kraft, I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember a lot, but I
do you regret that Lynn? I thought Lynn seems like your hottest girl.
could be, but I don't remember her.
All right. All right.
Was she some kin to you or something?
No, I don't know. I don't know any of these people.
I have no idea who she was.
All right.
But
well,
I know who William Sloan is.
He's so
and
psyched.
actually, William also, and he would tell you this: when I pitch, he catch.
Okay, but he's
So-
2 years younger than you.
No, William should have been the same age as me.
Oh, all right. I'll show you him after the show.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you had Kristen Davis, the celebrity woman. Didn't she go to AC Flora too? The girl that was on Sex and the City.
She was. I think she was younger than me. She went to AC Moore with my brother, and
But I thought she went to AC Flora too. But
she
maybe
probably
she did.
did. I don't even remember.
Because
her.
William brags that he dated her or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. I know my brother. She remembered me, X. I was like, who? And he was telling me the name because she played. I'm still. I can't even. You just said her name just now, but he was like, she played on Sex in the City. I was like, dude, do you know how long ago we was at AC Moore? But
So, all right. So I want to keep. So now you're this great basketball player, senior, but you're not being recruited heavily at a high school, correct? I mean, I thought you wanted to go to Carolina, South Carolina.
Yeah, that was my original choice, but I was being recruited fairly heavy.
Well, did South Carolina not recruit you or something?
Yes, they recruited me, and I went to my high school coach. I just came back from the University of Mississippi, me and Tyrone Corbin, and I had said to Coach Williams, I don't think I want to take any more trips. I think I want to go to South Carolina. And he said, okay, but we're not going to tell anybody right now. I guess because I didn't understand recruiting. He wanted to see who they were going to get, I guess. And over time, I'm watching them sign 6 different people. Some of them I had played against at BC camp. And so this is around about February, I'm thinking. Harold Martin signs with the University of South Carolina. And, that's before cell phone. I'm reading and I'm actually going past Frank McGuire Arena on Blossom. And I think we were heading to either Batesburg, Leesville, or Strong Thurman somewhere, because that's the route we would go. And so I get home, it's probably about 12. I call Harold, I say, man, I thought we was going to announce together, man. We're going to go to South Carolina. Next thing you know, they've signed 6 guys. And now they want me to go to prep school. And the only thing I want to know, why you want me to go to prep school? You knew about my grades from day one. You know they wasn't great. First 2 years of high school, I had like a D-. And so when we got Coach Williams as a coach, he was like, look, you got a lot of talent and you cause a lot of people headaches sometimes. I'm on the team, but my play will be based on what I do in school. And so I started getting my stuff together, grade get up. Now I'm at a 1.8, 1.9, I think, going into my senior year. And so I'm working hard because I want to play ball. I want to go to college now. I realized that it's a goal to go to college and stuff. You talk about it in elementary. You do good. You get to middle school.
Are you going to be one of the first in the family to go to college too?
I will be the third. I had an uncle that went to Benedict, and then my aunt, Claudel, went to Midland Tech. So I would have been the third to go to college. But of my mother kids, I would have been the first one. So I really wanted to go. And so I started getting myself together and the grades, taking the core classes. I tell people all the time, they laugh at me, but that's my story. I took more cooking classes than English classes. And my high school coach was like, dude, you can't go to college. You got home ec on him. You got home ec every semester. So he was like, no more home ec. And I just wound up taking a lot of core classes my last 2 years, and I got my grade up.
So what happens when you go to? So how does Wichita State get? Because you're kind of upset with South Carolina,
Yes,
kind of doing
I'm-
this thing.
I'm very upset with South Carolina, and
And Wichita State's recruiting you.
well, they're recruiting me now because now I'm opening up my recruitment, and so now I only took one trip my senior year. Like I said, that was to Ole Miss, and I was like looking at Ty and say, man, I'm not coming here. I just want to stay in South Carolina because I was like, whoa, it ain't what I anticipated. But
And is like North Carolina, is Dean Smith recruiting you?
no, I did receive a letter from Duke, but when they asked for two,
They want your grades.
well, they wanted the grades, but they also wanted you to get 2 teachers to vouch for you.
And you did have that.
I mean, I probably could have got 2, but during that time, sometimes I could be a wild man. So,
So you go to Wichita, and you play really on a great team.
Right.
I mean, and you're playing with Antoine Carr and Cliff Livingston, which for those of you who don't know those guys both played in the NBA, had a long career. They were both great. And so time there, do you start maturing? Do you start and it's all basketball?
Right.
Are you enjoy? I mean, this is a big life change. You're going from the ghetto of Columbia, South Carolina, to Wichita State, which is all white. I got to think it's like a white city.
it's not all white, but I mean,
we're talking middle country, and I know that they're big in basketball now and for the last however many years, but was that a big deal then?
the biggest thing was just being away from my family.
Yeah, you're gone.
But what it taught me to be self-sufficient. It taught me how to grow up. And everybody talked that junk, but all them cooking skills, it helped out. It helped out a lot. But I had to grow up. And to be honest, my high school coach and my father, they became good friends. And he was sitting down. I'm sitting there listening to him, and he was like, a lot of experience got influence over him. And he felt like I needed to leave Columbia. And he felt like, he used to always tell me, I'm the most talented guy that he ever coached. And that
Wow.
I could be whatever I wanted to be. And I had a bright future. But he didn't know how bright my future would be if I stayed in Columbia. And where did I grow up at? I grew up right across the street from USC ticket office. I can literally walk out of my door and be at USC ticket office in less than 7 minutes walk. I can be at the old Roost, which is what 2 blocks up the street. I could be on campus 3 minutes later. So I could be on campus in less than 15 minutes.
It was it's probably just such a blessing that you did this. Because it forced you to really grow up in some ways, probably.
I tell people a lot of times when I left here, I didn't know what to expect. I just know that it was the longest 36 hours of my life on a bus because I didn't know I was going to get to Kansas. USC calls the NCAA and say, "Hey, this guy is poor. You guys need." And they literally told me, so I'm not lying on them. And if my high school coach and my parents were alive, my sisters them may remember it because they were a little bit younger, and they were like, "How you going to get to Kansas?" It's like how people get to Kansas. I don't know how to get to Kansas, So my high school coach and my grandmother bought my ticket on a bus, and I went 36 hours.
So you're riding Greyhound or Trailways?
It was Greyhound right there on Gervais, on the corner of Gervais.
Yeah, I've been on that bus. I've been on that. I took a trip on there.
Gervais and Hardin Street. It used to be the old Dodge Center. And I remember my dad when I
God, you
got
took
on it.
no plane. You
No
went.
plane. And I remember, because they said how I was going to get there. The NCAA actually came to my house. This is a big issue. a lot of people don't realize a lot of the things that I went through, and with USC and with my father working and basically losing his job. There was a lot of things that came over on this, and so I got on the bus. I remember my high school coach and my grandmother. They was in the wallet. My grandmother said, "I got this amount of money," and he gave me. I had $32. I had a bus ticket. They got a round trip. Said if you didn't like it, jump back on the bus and come home. And my daddy looked at me and said, "Hell no! You go out there and you make it work. Don't come back here." And,
Really?
And he was like, "I'm telling you once." And he looked at. He said, "Carl, you had to do it.
Carl Williams, the coach.
He said, "Carl, he didn't need but a one-way ticket."
Wow.
And so when I got to Kansas, I cashed the ticket in. I think I got like $18. I think it was like $30-something to go to Kansas back then. And so when I got there, because my dad was like very adamant not coming back, and I didn't. I didn't for like 9 months. So it taught me how to grow up and taught me how to be self-sufficient and for myself. And it was the longest time, man, because I go from
Well, stay on that note. Guys, you're enjoying another great episode of the Shrimp Tank Charleston. We're sitting here talking to Xavier McDaniel, the Mountain, the X-Man. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
If you're like most successful business executives, you would probably rather stick your arm in a bucket of snakes than formulate a strategy for your insurance and financial needs. Who even understands estate planning, 401k plans, or key men insurance? We do. We are Double E, your virtual Chief Insurance and Financial Officer. Let us free you up to do more of what you do best and less of what we do better. Call 843-936-6352. EELLC.com. Securities offered through Fortune Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Elkins Financial EE LLC and Fortune Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities.
Guys, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank Charleston podcast. I'm your host, Eric Elkins, as well as the founder and CEO of EE Insurance and Financial Solutions. We're sitting here talking to the X, Xavier McDaniel. Can I call you X? I feel like I need to just say Xavier because we know each other, but we don't know each other well enough. What do you prefer? Because I want to
X
make
is fine.
Okay, all
X
right.
is fine. Everybody call me X.
So I want to go where we're talking about when you went to Wichita State, but I want to go back for a second, and then I want to get into the guts of what it was like in the NBA, because right now is the perfect time to talk to you about this, because you got that show about the Lakers on HBO or something like that.
Right.
Then you got Magic, who just came out with his documentary on Apple. And so I'm going to, just so you guys know, we're going to get into that story, and I'm going to ask him questions that probably most people won't ask because I don't really care. And if he doesn't want to answer, he doesn't have to. That's the way it'll be. But I want to go back to when you said your dad lost his job.
Right.
What was that about? Like, what do you mean he lost his job? From your recruiting?
Yeah, for my recruiting and not going to USC. And I've never even spoke on it, but I remember my dad, when I was 1981, when I left here, they start cutting his hours, and that's how it started.
Where is he working at the time?
PYA. It was right next to the stadium.
What's PYA?
Pierce Young Angel. It's the Monarch company.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Okay,
owned
the
by
food.
Cisco now.
Yeah, okay.
And so he was like, they were messing with his hours. And so he would still work, but they'd tell him, "Oh, we don't need you." And I had known these people all my life.
So this is the owner of the company is a big USC booster or something?
I'm assuming so. And so I'm just hearing what my mom is saying. Well, your dad ain't working right now and this and this. And it just made it really, really hard on the family. And so I can't really get into it too much. But it made it hard. So my high school coach was kind of filling in the blanks for us because financially, even though I'm gone and I work, see, people don't realize I work, and even in high school, all during the summer, from when I was 13 years old, I had a job and wasn't ever cutting grass. So with me leaving, that's income out of the house. My high school coach helped, and then when my father was like, "Well, we don't need you today," and they called him Dusty because that was his name was James McDaniel, but everybody called him Dusty. And so by the time I get to the NBA, one day he said he's gonna shoot everybody, and that's how they got him to retire
Really?
because that got so bad. Yeah.
Damn. Wow. God, that's crazy, man.
I mean, even when my daughter went and chose North Carolina,
Oh, that.
I mean, I heard a lot of backlash that, he didn't go to USC, and I have nothing to do with it. That was my daughter's choice, just like it was my choice. You know, if Don Staley or Lamont is recruiting a kid, and they're not just recruiting that one kid, they're recruiting several kids. When they get a kid they want, they call the other kids and say, hey, we no longer are interested in you. But people get really upset when you don't go to the university that they wanted. They didn't even have to do anything with me. I was basically ready to sign and go to USC.
Yeah.
And so with all those chain events happen, like I said, people get so upset, man. And I think people got to understand that it's the kid choice.
Absolutely.
To what school they want to go to. It was my choice, my first choice. Even to this day, if I had to make it all over again and I didn't know what I did, I would still pick USC. I tailgate at USC. I grew up. I worked at USC. I used to sell Cokes at USC. And people would buy the Cokes and they'd be like, Xavier, where you going to school at? I said, man, I'm coming here. And they would just buy all the Cokes, pass them out, and give me a big tip, right? At William Bright Stadium, I sold Cokes from there from, I was either 8 or 9 or 10, till I was 17 years old. I was selling Cokes.
I remember. I don't remember necessarily you, but I remember those days where guys were selling Cokes.
Get your hot cold Coke. Get your hot cold Cokes.
God forbid those Cokes were stored at your house with no air conditioning. I don't know if I would want your Cokes, but
I think they were 40 cents back then, and I would make $60 every night.
All right, so I want to go now. We can talk all day because you got stories left and right, and you've already shared a crazy story, and I know you're going to give us some more. But I want to go. You get drafted fourth,
right?
In the NBA draft. You shake David Stern's hand. You go on to New York and do that whole thing. Ewing is the first pick. And you get drafted by the Seattle Supersonics, which is still mind-boggling that they don't even have an NBA team to this day. It makes no sense to me. But you go to Seattle, which probably helped you because you went to Wichita, and it probably wasn't so much of a massive move to go all the way to the other side of the West, West Coast. But I'm curious, what did you sign for? Do you remember? What did you sign for when you signed?
My first contract was $3,050,000
Guaranteed?
Guaranteed. And I was asking for more than that because, Seattle did not have a first-round pick the next year, which we had a second-round pick, which came out to be Nate McMillan. Mm-hmm. So Michael Jordan was the third pick, and he had signed for $762,000. And so we were trying to. David was trying to get me at.
So David Falk was your agent right then.
Yes.
Really?
Yes,
so
for my whole career.
So David Falk is the legendary agent that represented Jordan throughout his career. He did a better deal for you than he did for Jordan at that time. I'm talking.
No, because I wound up averaging about 750. Mike averaged 762 as the A pick, but I was trying to get 800 to 900,000.
Which in 1985 is, it's still a lot of money, but you don't even know what to do with all that money.
That would have put me above Bird, because I think he was like at 8-something, at that time. But I remember Lenny Wilkins telling me this. He said, I can never pay you that much money. You just got to go back to Europe. You can go to Europe, but I'm not going to pay you that much money. But he said, if you make the Seattle Supersonics relevant, then we'll come back and negotiate. And we came back and negotiated after my second year.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and you come in second in the balloting in the Rookie of the Year.
And I should have won that. I should have won that.
I think you should have won a lot of. I think you should have been at least a 6-time All-Star, in my opinion.
Well, I think some circumstances happened that might have did not get me to win it. me and my ex-wife got into it. And so she said I did this and I did that. I had to get on camera and say, hey, look at her face. Where's this?
Oh, you got accused of like domestic abuse?
Right, yes. And so.
Where did you meet her in Seattle?
Wichita.
Oh, you met her in Wichita. Y'all went to college together?
Yeah, went to college. The 7 brothers. Those were her uncles. Lucius, Leroy, and Dewey 7 was her uncles from Oklahoma. But
they sound kind of tough.
Yeah, them some tough guys. But
named Lucius.
I think that might have had a part in it. But Patrick only played 50 games that year. I played 82. And he averaged 20, and I averaged 17, and we averaged about the same amount of rebounds. So, and I'm saying,
did you tell this to Pat? You tell him all the time. You go, you don't deserve it. Do you say, give me that when you see him? Do you say, give me that award? You put it in my house.
No, one time I was at his house. We were still playing. I want to say where I was at. Well, who I was playing with? It might have been Boston. And I was coming back, and I stopped through. And I went by his house. I said, man, let me see my trophy. And he was talking about, nah, man. I say, Pat, now, I just think that if you play 82 games, that's only 9 games over 500. So I'm going to say, that's about 60% of the games, out of 82. So I played all 82. I told him, I said, you take away my 32 worst games.
Oh, yeah.
And then put my average up against yours. I think I deserve that award. And I still think, to this day,
you think we can appeal it and get it switched?
I doubt it.
So, all right, how did your life change monetarily? What did you do when you are making all this money? Do you go and buy your parents? What do you do for your parents?
I bought my mother and father a house. Bought my dad a car. My mom couldn't drive. And the way my dad drive, I don't think he could drive because I had to buy him another car. So I just took care of my family, man. I mean,
and you're living, and so obviously the marriage comes to an end.
Yeah.
Okay, you lose some money in that transaction.
Yes.
A lot of money, or
no, not
okay.
a lot. But
okay.
So
all right.
we was only married. We were basically a year and stuff. And unfortunately, for 4 years, I thought we had a great relationship, and then, she blamed it on the high profile, but I don't know what it was. But even to this day, I still hadn't understood what went on for her to do that. But, I mean, I've moved on with my life, and I think it's been okay. I've never been one to be all flashy like the way these guys are. I mean, I've even never bought a watch, even though I got a Rolex. I never bought it. I mean, I won it when I was with Boston. Not won it, but I won player of the game, and the jury was a sponsorship, and they give you $500. And I was like, what I'm going to do with it? I got $5,000. What I'm going to do with it? I bought the watch. I've had it since.
So you never really were big on having this huge, massive house. You didn't do any of that stuff?
No, not at first, but I do have a massive house now.
Okay, so I got so much stuff to go over with you. It's sickening. I mean, we could do a 2-hour conversation here, but I got to go over some questions that I want to know. So you're in the NBA, and you're in the 80s, Showtime era, the Lakers. You're playing the Lakers constantly. And back then, in that 85 to 90-ish time frame, who would have been someone you would not have wanted to get into a fight with? Because you didn't back down from anybody. I mean, this is the X is known, and I love how I didn't even realize this until I started looking at this. I didn't realize you shaved your eyebrows and your head supposedly to look more intimidating or something.
No.
That's not a true story?
That's not a true story.
Did you just lose that stuff?
No.
What happened?
Okay.
But then I want you to answer who you wouldn't want to fight. But you can answer either one first.
To be honest, I grew up in a tough environment, and I was just never afraid of anybody. To be very honest, there was no guy that I was like, man, I don't want to mess with that guy. If he didn't mess with me, I didn't mess with him. So I didn't go into the games being afraid. I'm always nervous. My hands like now they're sweaty. because we're doing the interviews, just like basketball. I get nervous, even in college. I'm like, Coach, I got to go to the bathroom. I used to always have to use the bathroom for a game. I just get nervous. But once I walk on the court, it's like I just transform. And so
So there was not back. So that's a crap question, Gus. You came up with. No, I came up with it. It's mine. But there were so that wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
And how many, if in a season, those first 5 years, how many fights did you physically truly get into? I'm not saying where you got in their face.
Well, yeah, it says your rookie year. You said, but it said 13, 14 fights, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I got in quite a few.
Fist
I
fights.
was trying to, literally fist fights. I mean, when you're in the NBA, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of guys, you come in high profile like I did, you got guys that want to just F with you. And they want to F with you, and then you have to stand your ground. And I felt like when I signed that contract and it was a lot of money for a 4th pick in 1985, I felt like I had to stand up and show people that, hey, you're going to talk it, but you ain't going to bully me. When I watch Winning Time and Magic say, y'all ain't going to bully me, that's just how I felt. You're not going to bully me. And a lot of people found out early that if you think you're going to bully me, that shit wasn't happening. And I stood my ground, and it's been a couple of guys that the fight didn't just fight here. It done spill over. I done seen a guy in the club, and I was like, you motherfucker. And,
who would be one of those guys? You can tell us here.
To be honest,
it's over now.
To be honest, and Tom Chambers broke his fibula, I think, in his foot, and they moved me to the power forward slot, and I was playing against Kevin Willis, and we got in this big, huge fight.
He's 7'1".
Yeah.
You're 6'7".
7 footers get knocked out too.
Big tree fall hard.
All right, so Kevin Willis
Right.
played for the Atlanta Hawks
Right.
with Dominique. That dude was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, muscular, huge. You beat up.
I didn't punch him, but I seen him coming, and I just took my forearm and I just leveled him. And Tree Rollins, Randy Whitman, I was just fighting the whole damn
Tree
team.
Rollins, another
I was fighting.
beast.
It was all on. I mean, when I say it was all on CNN, and remember CNN used to have that. They
He
had the
does.
Turner
He's
Network, they had
38.
That
39.
30-minute news every day. Every day they used to have the 30-minute news. And my mama like, boy, you done lost your mind. And that spilled over all the way until I got to Boston. Kevin Willis was playing for the Hawks.
You never got along with Kevin Willis.
No, we never got along. And he crossed the line when he started talking about my mother.
Oh, you don't do that.
And so
do that.
he was talking some mad crap. And I walked to the bench and said, you say one more fucking word, I'm going to beat your ass. And I said, and Lenny Wilkins, who drafted me, came and said, I said, Coach Wilkins?
But he's coaching
The
Atlanta.
Hawks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, Coach, you heard him. And I said to Fisher, you heard him. I said, if y'all don't straighten it up, I'll straighten this shit up myself. And that's what happened. Then I got free agent with New Jersey. I seen him in a club, and I was pissed. And some of my teammates, I was gonna tear his, you know what, up in that club.
So we're
Sometimes they take it too personal. I take that personal because there's an off limit, and I hear stuff like Kevin Garnett says, you know, if I can get to a guy head and talk about his mama or his wife, some things off limit.
Don't talk about my
If you
mama.
played in the 80s, and I love Kevin Garnett as a person, you played in the 80s, well, you're going to get your ass whooped or you're going to be whooping somebody's ass.
I got to tell you, man. I mean, do you know who Kevin Willis is?
Mm-hmm.
The dude was huge, and for you to just that's impressive.
I miss that type of basketball. I grew up watching the Big East basketball, you know.
Georgetown, Syracuse.
Yeah, I miss that. I wish basketball would go back to like that type of style, honestly.
They're never going to go back there. It's going to be dreaming.
Yeah, it's
These
all about
guys-
the three-pointer.
Well, it's about the three-pointer, but more importantly, you paying a guy $41 million. Where you want your guy? You want your guy with a broken jaw on the sidelines
We
for 20
do.
games?
We
Yeah,
do.
we do.
You know, it's just not going to happen, you know. And I personally, when I would talk with Ron Thorne, I would tell him, get the first guy, don't get the second guy. Now they go to the tapes, and, you know, they'll change some things now because some guys can be dirty. You know, when you look at C.J. McCollum last night hit Cam Johnson, that was a dirty play. You know, and so or when Kevin McHale clothesline Kurt Rambis, what Kurt Rambis do?
Oh,
he jumped up. Everybody had to come in because a brawl is about to happen. Or you got Maurice Lucas fighting against Daryl Dawkins, and they got them fists up.
See, Daryl Dawkins, he to me seemed like he would have been a badass. Like I wouldn't want to mess with that dude.
Well, you watch that thing, he did not go nowhere near. And I think Maurice Lucas, the late Maurice Lucas, is one of the toughest guys that I know.
All right, let me ask you this. I'm going to keep going. I want to make sure I get these answers because I made up these questions, but I don't know if anybody else loves them, but hopefully they do. Especially if you grew up, if you're in your 40s and above, for sure, 39 and above. Who was the least liked player? Excuse me. Who was the least liked great player by the players? The players really did not like him in the 80s. That comes to mind to you? Like players, no,
Probably,
but he was great.
probably Bill Lambert.
No, they didn't like him. The
nobody
fans didn't like him either, unless you were in
Nobody
Detroit.
liked him.
Nobody liked him in real
And
life. Like in
But I got the meeting. We did the IBM commercial together. And he's actually cool. He's actually cool.
But-
I say, Bill, you know how many times I want to crack you upside your damn head? And then, I mean, we in the limousine together, me and him and Detlef Shrimp. Detlef's in there laughing and stuff. Because Detlef know me from, he's
He was in
Seattle
Seattle.
guy.
Great shooter.
And Husky. And he was just laughing. But I think most of the people who played for Detroit, people that just hated him, Other than that,
like when you would go to the clubs, they'd be like, "Oh God, no! Why did he come?" But he was great. How about 90s?
same person, Bill Lambert.
Not Jordan.
No, I don't think a lot of guys played with him might have hated him, and they might have hated him after Last Dance. But I know when the 90s they won them championships, they did.
But I'm
they wasn't
saying
nothing.
like hanging out with the guy and stuff.
Mike is really cool to hang out, man. Me, him, and Scotty, we played them 3 times the year I got traded. The 90-91 season, we played them in Tampa, and then we played them in Seattle. Had almost 50,000 people at the game in Seattle in an exhibition game. And we went to Vancouver and played. And we played some cards and stuff down in Tampa. Mike is real cool. I mean, he's a competitive guy. And so I've never really had, outside of basketball, but I mean, he's always been cool with me. And even when we got into it, I was like, "Hey man, you gonna buy me a steak tonight?" he was like, "Yeah man, I'm gonna call over to the restaurant." Me and Oak went over there and we had some steaks that night. I mean, a lot of the guys, it's that moment you get into it.
Yeah.
It's just like your brother. You get in a fight with your brother, and then 30 minutes later you go into the store, get something to eat together or some candy or something. I mean, you're laughing and joking. But you get a couple of them, like me. I don't think me and Kevin Willis, even if we were like, I know I'm going to be in Las Vegas in July. And if he's in Las Vegas, I don't think we will speak. I haven't spoke to him, and I have no desire to speak to him. And so
That could be. We could set up a pay-per-view fight, all from this momentum building up. I'll have him on the show
Our
next.
history is so bad, I mean, think about it.
Is there another guy like that you have bad history like?
No, he's the only guy.
He's it.
I've got along with pretty much a lot of people. I mean, I've gotten in it with Barkley, but I think if we see each other, we will embrace each other. I've gotten in it with Eddie Johnson, the guy I got traded with, and when I see him, we talk. So, I mean, you get in it with a lot of guys, but that's just on the court. And then off the court, you let it go. I mean, I got in a fight with, what's his name, King. Another friend knew him, called him. We were sitting on the phone talking. And, me and him, and I was like, "Hey, man, Bernie, you see the guy holding me?" And me and him got in a fight. But, some people hold on to things and stuff. And I think
You're not that guy, with the exception of Willis. You just can't.
Well, the only reason why
he talked about your mom.
Right. I didn't hold on. He was on the sideline talking while I was playing.
I'm with you.
I didn't say anything. I just kept my mouth closed. But after a while, you get to that point where now he got me to this edge, and if he wants some, he can get some.
We're going to set up that pay-per-view. You're going to get a new payday here. All right, now you're listening to the Shrimp Tank Charleston podcast. I'm your host, Eric Elkins. My sidekick, Gus Just, also Chief Investment Officer at Double E Financial. We're all sitting here, and then I got Kristen Kilman going, damn, what are they talking about? So, all right, I'm curious, because back in the era you played, drugs, especially cocaine, was popular. Like you had Reggie Lewis. Was it Reggie Lewis? Am I right? The Boston guy who died, and then they had the loyal. What was his name?
Now, let me just say this. Me and Reggie was cool. That's what they say. I've never seen Reggie.
Oh, I don't know what story about you and Reggie. I thought he was the guy that died.
He died. But I don't think it was from drugs. Now, reports have said it, but I went on record saying that me and Reggie used to eat a lot, go out and eat at different places. Me and him, D. Brown, could be Rick Fox or Kevin Gamble, anybody.
Rick Fox had to be the biggest lady killer back then. That would be my guess.
Rick was kind of laid back, but
he didn't get the ladies.
Yeah, no,
he was with Vanessa Williams.
Yeah, she's a hottie.
She was hot then.
But with Reggie Lewis, man, I tell people I don't think he was doing drugs.
Really?
But I wasn't around him 24/7, so I don't know. But I just know in the 80s we did drug tests, and when you take your physical, there was a drug. So they could tell if you had marijuana, cocaine, or whatever you were doing in your system. Once I took my physical, I was not known as a guy that's being on drugs. I don't smoke weed, and I didn't do cocaine. I definitely don't do meth. I got all my teeth. So
why, you had guys in the NBA doing meth? And stuff?
I don't know. I'm just saying. But I just know that you do have some people. But going in the 80s, when I got into the league, they tested, and if you were suspected, they're going to test you, and they're going to test you hard, because if you're doing that stuff, man, I think. Now, going into from the late 70s to the earlies, I think there was a problem. But I think when I got there, I think the problem was at a minimum, because you had Louis Lloyd, Mitchell Wiggins.
John Lucas.
John Lucas. There was one more on the Rockets that got suspended. It was 3 of them that got suspended. And we already knew they was getting suspended, because we had a meeting, say, hey, they're meeting with these guys for the Rockets, and hopefully they agree to that. They have a problem. They was like, nah, we don't have a problem. And look, we got you on tape. Well, we don't have a problem. So the only thing you got to do is say you need help. Now you keep your money. But they denied it, showed them the tape, and suspended them.
So it wasn't you didn't see you didn't see this drugs when you would travel in the rooms and hanging out. That wasn't a popular thing.
No. Not with me. And I can't say what other people have done, but if you're not a known user, then
you're not going to even. They're not going to hang out.
No.
Yeah, they're not hanging.
You may hang with you, but they're going to go. They're going to leave you and go somewhere else.
Right.
So I just know that when we say we going to the club, I just never seen nobody do it, and that's just me. I could be naive, but on my team, when I played, we didn't have but 2 people that I played with that I knew that actually. I was John Lucas, I played with 1 year, and Eddie Johnson, who played with Atlanta, that got a life sentence. I knew that when we got to the team that he had an issue. So we tried to keep beer and stuff away from them. I only drink beer. That's it. So I didn't.
You drink now? Do you ever drink now?
Yeah, I drink beer.
Because when we went out,
I can't say until they give me a contract.
All right. So if you want Xavier to promote and endorse your alcohol, he will, but he's got to get paid for it, and I get a finder's fee for doing it. All right. I got a quick question here. If we're having dinner somewhere, and we're in a booth, and the following people walk in and they see you, I'm curious, will they come over and say hello to you? They do see you, or do they? I'm asking, do they see you? Are they going to walk over and say hello, or are they going to pretend like they didn't see you and walk over and go somewhere, sit down wherever they're sitting? Okay, I'm going to give you the people, and you tell me they will or they won't. Quick question, easy. Michael Jordan,
I think he'll come over.
but not positive,
Not possible. I think he would come.
because you think he's a little big now that or
I don't know, but I would think that if he's seen a fellow player, he would acknowledge him.
Magic.
Oh, he definitely would come. He would definitely. He's been in Columbia and gave me a shout out when he came down to Eastover.
For what did he come to Columbia for?
He donated some computers and different stuff, and they got the Magic Johnson Center down there now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he really, he seems like the greatest
Yeah.
guy. I grew up, I loved him. So
Yeah.
he's worth loving.
And I've been to one of those parties too.
Oh, you have? All right, we're going to go there, and we'll go there next. All right, Larry Bird,
Definitely come.
Barkley,
I don't think he'll come.
and so he might not be as great in real life as people like how we think of him.
Right.
Okay. Gary Payton,
Oh, definitely he'll come.
Steph Curry,
I think he'll come because I met him at Northeast High School, your old alma mater. And when his dad told me he wasn't being recruited, I was like, you got to be kidding. Just watch him put on a show.
really,
Yeah.
at that Jam Fest that they do at Northeast.
At the
Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A,
yeah.
yes. Just in the early years of it and stuff. And
He knocked it out of the park
yeah,
there.
Yeah, tore it up.
Isaiah Thomas.
Probably not.
I don't think he's fake, isn't he?
I don't know. I never hung out with him like that, except
And-
at Magic Party. I did.
All right, so now let's go into the Magic Party. So if you watch this documentary on Magic and that show, Showtime or whatever it's called on HBO, that Magic is not supporting, but I know you're watching that one and you haven't started the Magic documentary, but I'm watching both, and I got to tell you, they say that how could they know, but they're like locking step together on this, so it seems pretty legit. This party that he would have, what is it like? 10 girls to one guy back then?
If not more. I'm sitting there and I'm drinking a beer and I'm just sitting there just looking.
Are you single at this time?
Yes, I'm single. And I'm sitting there poolside watching people swim. Just relaxing. And I looked.
Are they having sex right in front of you?
No.
Is it like a hedonism type thing?
No, they were just swimming, and I'm just looking at. I realized somebody's been sitting right beside me looking, also, and I'm sitting there just, and I look at the guy, and I said, "Oh, shit." It's Rick James. It's Rick James.
Super Freak he was a frequent guest of the parties?
That
guess.
particular day, yes, because I was in earlier talking with Magic. Then I said, man, I'm going out and look at the girls, man. And while I was sitting there watching, and I noticed the guy there, he might have been there 15, 20 minutes, but now I just really look at him and say, oh, crap.
Was that hair all Jerry curled up
Man,
and stuff?
Yes. And I was like, fucking Rick James. That's all I could say. It was like, man, nice to meet you, man. And I was telling him who I was. And
He doesn't know who you are? He doesn't know the ex?
man, this is Rick James, man. And this is like,
He's
probably-
not.
this like 80, this is before I hurt my knee. So this had to be like 86, 87. I think it was summer 87. And I was like, this is Rick James, man. I was just like, wow. I can't really say what else I said, but I was like, wow.
And he had the women around him, I'm sure.
No, he was, I'm saying like, we're looking at the girls swimming. He had a drink. I had a beer in my hand, And we were both just
Did he have like coke hanging from his nose and stuff?
nah.
And okay, so and who else is at these parties? Did you go to multiple magic parties?
Yeah, no, just that one. But I didn't stay to the whole party and stuff because I was out with my shoe contract that I had obligations, so I had to get up. So
Who was your shoe
I
contract?
had with Spot Belt, Saucony, Saucony, however you want to pronounce it. They had just got into basketball. I just signed a 4-year deal with them.
Like what kind of deal back then did you sign with Saucony?
I signed 4 years, $400,000, $100,000 a year.
Really?
Yes.
And
Plus royalties on the shoes that are sold.
okay, and then so had you signed with Converse or Nike,
I could have signed with Nike, but
like what would have been the difference in pay? Because you're betting on the
about
come.
25, because Nike offered me, I think it was 75 or 80. I think Converse offered me 80, Nike 75, could be vice versa. And the difference was I was able to get my own shoe. You know, Nike, I probably would have wore either Magic or Bird, they shoes they had, and they actually gave me my own shoe.
That's so cool.
So-
That
man.
is cool.
It was.
Are you wearing your shoes anymore?
No, man. They stopped making them after the 5th year. And
Were they comfortable?
Oh, they were very comfortable. Spot Belt was very comfortable, man. People be, oh man, they need to bring them shoes out, but you know, Saucony or Saucony, however you pronounce
They're
it.
kind of a running shoe.
They're
company.
running shoes and baseball shoes, and they had got into basketball, and they never got back into, baseball and football, I think, and soccer, I think.
All right, let's go back to the parties.
Yeah.
So then, I want to know about the Forum Club. What was that like? You played the Lakers, and the game's over, and then you shower, and then you go up to the Forum Club. Is that
Yeah.
the typical routine?
That's what, yeah, typically. But everybody can't get in the Forum Club now.
Now, okay, so because you're an opposing team, does your teammates all get in, or do they go, no, I don't want Sam Perkins in here, or I don't want Dale Ellis in here?
Well, let's just say they don't know who you are or they don't recognize you. So we would play LA and I'll be icing my, man, come on, X, man. You know sometimes they don't recognize us. So if Dale's going to definitely get in, but they may not. Let's say
How are they not recognizing you? You're the X.
Well, I get in.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
going to get in. But some of the guys like maybe Avery Johnson or Derek McKee or Olin Polynice, they may like look at them funny. Like, nah, man, they on the team, man, let them in. So
when you
they kind of screen who they're going to let in.
okay, and then there's Jerry Buss doing his dancing like they show on this thing.
I've never seen Jerry Buss in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never seen it. But I mean, it's like a party up there.
And
Out
who's
there.
in there?
And
Give me examples. Who's
it could be anybody in there.
like Sylvester Stallone? You see him in there?
I've never seen him in there.
Never met him.
To
What-
be honest, when you go in there, man, I'm gonna be honest. Most people, you know, like Denzel wasn't that big back then, so he wouldn't. I don't know if he was in there, but I know Denzel.
Good guy.
But you see a lot.
Denzel Washington you're talking about.
Yeah, good guy. I was introduced to him by Gus Williams, right outside the Sonic's office, and we kind of hung out in L.A. a little bit and stuff. And just to let you know, I was in Justin's back in the '90s, Puff Daddy's restaurant.
In Atlanta?
No, the one in New York.
Okay.
Guy walked by me, nudged me, look up. It's Denzel Washington. Xavier, where you? I said, man, I'm back in South Carolina. I'm just up here to pick my car up. But I'm in South Carolina.
Really?
So
That's cool, man.
yeah. So and my friend Terry Acock was sitting there like, oh shit, you really do know him. I say, I told you I knew him. But I mean, you see some of the actors.
Do you even care about that stuff? I mean, I'm so intrigued by that. But do you?
I respect what they do and stuff. But when you're in the Forum Club, you got to act like you somebody too.
What about the woman? What was I can't remember the name. The blonde that was always on the front courtside, attractive. She's an actress. I can't remember her
I
name.
know exactly who you're talking about because she did. The NBA is fantastic.
Yeah, she's
I
got
know
the
who you're talking
curly
to, yes.
blonde. Did you hook up with her?
No.
Okay, I want to talk about who did you hook up with that's famous because
Nobody.
because you were
I'm not going to talk about nobody.
you were
I
so
hooked up with.
good. You were so good looking.
Well, I think I'm still good looking.
You are still good looking, but But you're 50, what, 8 now, 59?
I'm 58. I'll be 59 in
and
June.
you're married. I don't want to get into that now. I want to go back to then. I know you hooked up with some film movie stars.
No.
Never.
Never.
You sure?
Positive.
Musicians.
No.
Models.
No.
Okay, we'll move on from there. Okay, you had the famous agent David Falk,
Right.
who handled Michael Jordan's career as well. I'm just curious, because he had Jordan, and then Jordan just keeps propelling up the ladder. Do you get the attention in hindsight that, like, it seems like he would be so focused on Jordan that how does he even focus on? Is it like that, or no? He wouldn't like that.
I could call him. I could call him right now. He probably answer the phone or return my call if he ain't busy. But even right now today, but
is he still representing?
I'm not a high maintenance guy.
It was just do my contract and
do my contract, shoot contract. If you find me some endorsements, if I want to do them, I do them. But other than that, I'm not a high maintenance person. Whatever I need to get done, most times I can get it done myself outside of the contract, outside of the endorsements. That's all I needed them for. Everything else I did on my own.
God. All right. So, guys, you're listening to Xavier McDaniel tell us just awesome stories. But we got to take another break. You're listening to the Shrimp Tank Charleston podcast. I'm your host, Eric Elkins. We're going to take this break, but we'll be right back. And I want to get into that series with the Bulls when you were at the Knicks and what happened. Then we have some questions from subscribers that want to ask you some specific questions. Then we're going to find out what you're doing today, and then we're going to call it a day.
All right.
How's that? We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys, to the Shrimp Tank Charleston podcast. I'm your host, Eric Elkins, as well as founder and CEO of Double E Insurance and Financial Solutions. And we've just had the amazing conversation with the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel, the Supersonic, played for the Celtics, played for the Knicks, played for the Nets. Am I leaving anybody out, brother?
Did we say the Suns?
Celtics.
Oh, yeah, played for the Suns.
Suns.
15 games for the Suns.
No, I played.
No, you got traded.
I got traded 15 games into the season.
So I'm just curious, one of the questions I'm curious about that I don't want to forget to ask you is, out of all those teams that you played for, who was the best owner? Because you played when Red Auerbach was the owner of the Celtics, right?
I don't think he owned it, but he was, like
The
I
lead.
think he was more of a consultant. He wasn't really an owner. I don't know, because Mr. Ackley in Seattle was cool. We would be losing. He'll come in and say, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll get him." Paramount Pictures owned New York. Colangelo and his group owned the Suns. And I didn't get to know them that well. I don't know who owned New Jersey. So I'm going to say Mr. Ackley.
And what about the best NBA coach you ever had? That not only was a great coach, from a team perspective, but was a great mentor as well to you. Or do you have it?
I don't think none of them was a mentor to me, but all the coaches were cool. I got along with Bernie. We didn't always
Bernie
agree.
Bickerstaff.
Bernie Bickerstaff. We didn't always agree because I was trying to make that step to get us over the hump, and I think that Bernie always wanted us to sneak up on people. And I don't think if you go to the Western Conference Finals, you ain't sneaking up on nobody no more. I was ready to make that leap. K.C. Jones in Seattle was cool because he was like, "What play you on, X?" I kind of like that with KC. Cop Fitzsimmons, we didn't have any plays. We just come down and do screen and roll, and we had a Hawk set. That was it. 2 sets, screen and roll.
That was when you were with the Suns?
With the Suns.
Were
Cop
you-
Fitzsimmons. Yeah.
Were you good? I don't remember.
Oh, we won 55 games that year.
Okay, so that simple approach. And
Yeah. It was KJ, Tom Chambers, screen and roll. KJ shot.
Dan Marley being your three-pointer?
Well, Dan came off the bench. It was Jeff Hornacek, and then you got Mark West diving and me on the baseline.
Barkley's not there yet.
No, Barkley's not. They still in Philly, and if usually Dan Marley came in either for me or Jeff Hornacek because he played both positions. So all the coaches have.
What about Riley?
Riley was
Pat Riley.
He was tough. He was demanding, and I tell people I see why they won a lot of championships because he was demanding. And if Magic was as demanding as him, I see why they were so good. And we won 51 games, and they elected not to offer me a contract, and I went to Boston. But
why when you went to New York, and you're always averaging 17 plus points, and then you go to New York, and I think it drops to like 14 roughly.
13,
but you're a starter in this and that. Was it just the way he wanted the offense to be?
No, it was a contract. If you see that, you told me you did your research.
Yeah.
You didn't do your research.
Damn.
No, but if you go back.
But I'm asking you, why did your points totals? You were always a score. Okay.
I'm getting to that. If you go back and look at the stats, the first up until January, I think I bought my contract out either January the 25th or January the 28th, somewhere around there. I gave the New York Knicks $500,000 cash. I gave them. I took them a check, $500,000. I got out my contract. The day I got out of my contract, right after that, they stopped playing me.
Really?
So I would start. You look, I played 82 games. I'll start, and then I'll play most of the first quarter, and then I wouldn't even play again until the third quarter.
So you're saying because you were negotiating to get a better contract,
right?
And they're not willing to do it,
right?
And then you want to be out of this, so you pay them back,
yes.
but you're still with them,
right? I'm still with them. I still under contract for that year. I had 2 more years left on my contract. In order to get out of those 2 years, I had to pay them $500,000.
Is David Falk telling you to do this, or is this you telling I'm going to do
Well,
this?
that's both of us. I'm saying it because that's what we put in the contract with Seattle, is that we want to be able to get out this contract. So they said, okay, you have to pay us $500,000 to get out. I had the first buyout of anybody in the NBA, except they get out free now. I had to pay to get out.
Really?
I gave them $500,000, and so.
So your point. So sorry. I screwed
I was
up.
averaging about 18 points a game, about 7 rebounds a game until I bought the contract out, and I go from 32 minutes a game, 33 minutes a game, to like 22 minutes a game.
Damn.
And that's what I average drop.
Well, just keep in mind, I'm a CEO of a insurance financial company. I don't do this for a living. I just want to talk to you, giving me shit for the research I've done.
Yeah, you got to do that research, man. But everybody knew. Everybody in New York knew, and I wanted to come back, man. I wanted to play with Patrick. The year I got traded to Phoenix, I wanted to go to New York because it was rumored that I was getting ready to get traded. And they said, Xavier, we don't know if you're going to play tonight. I said, why? Well, we're talking with New York. They're talking with New York, and it's going to be a last-minute thing if you play tonight. It didn't go through, and I wound up playing against the Bulls that night in Vancouver. And so I got traded to Phoenix, and I am on the way to Phoenix from Seattle driving. Got a cell phone, but I'm in the mountains, so the signal's very bad. As soon as I get word, I'm looking like, I got all these messages. What the heck going on? So I get a message. I check the message. They come straight to the office. I went straight to the office. Walked in the office. God damn it, we've been trying to call you. Where the hell you? I said, I drove from Seattle back here. And so what's going on? Carl Fitz said, we just traded your ass. I said, where? He said, to New York. I said, thank you. And so that team fit me. With Oakley and Patrick, it just fit me, and so.
So you were psyched about that, and it was a bad breakup, almost like a girl you didn't want to be broken up with, but they just wouldn't give you the contract you wanted.
Well, and And I remember right after I signed, Dave Check was on TV saying, "Oh, we was about to give him a truckload of money." Well, I signed in September. Well, the NBA signing date is when? July the 1st, right? So July the 1st, August 1st, I was like, I'm going to the beach, the bike week in Myrtle Beach, that first weekend, Labor Day weekend. If they hadn't offered me, then we're going to go, and I think I signed September 13th. That's a full 2.5 months after the NBA signing period. And I got a call, and it was like, this was from a reporter. I can't remember his name. He was like, Xavier, they're going to screw you. And everybody knows it. So I called David and told David, and he was like, well, they say they're going to open in faith. They just want to get somebody. I said, nah. And he got a call. And my first trip was going to Boston. And then I was sitting there working the deal, working something out with Chicago to come meet, take a physical. And I never got there because I never read all back, just like this room, closed the door, and said, this is what we can offer you, 5 years, $13 million.
How cool was that you're sitting in a room with Red Auerbach, the legend?
I was like, I ain't want to be in this room. That's how I said, I want to be in this room because I want to go think about it. And they was like, nah, you're not going to think about it. We're not going to allow you to, if you walk out this door, it's off the table. So now I'm stuck between the Hard Rock because we hadn't got the confirmation from Chicago. I think if I probably would have got the confirmation from Chicago, I probably would have said, like, well, let's move on. But I just gave them $500,000 check.
To New York.
To New York. And I just gave up $1.8 million. So you add those numbers up together, that's $4.1 million I just gave up. That's literally guaranteed because that's my $500,000. You know? And so when I realized I got $4.1 million, I need to do something. So I signed the 5 year, $13 million deal.
Wow.
But I made one phone call and I said, Patrick, I won't
Patrick
sign it.
Ewing.
I said, I won't sign it if you tell me not to. And these were exact words. He said, if they were going to sign UX, they would have been did it. And they know it. You do what's right for you and your family. And I said, okay. And I looked at David and said, Patrick told me to go ahead and sign it. He ain't going to be mad. He's the only one.
Does Pat Riley have anything to do with this piece, or is it all up front office, you know?
I don't know. People call you about things. I don't know. But I know that he sent me a letter.
Pat
Riley gave me a letter. I read the letter.
You still have it?
And the media wanted New York. They were offering me like 20, 30. I said, man, if I gave y'all this fucking letter, they'll blackball me. You know? This is a personal letter. I mean, they were talking about, I think I got up towards $50,000 for that letter. And so basically it was like an apology letter, basically, of how everything was handled.
Wow.
Because I felt like I should have stayed in New York. I felt like I knew I could be playing for a championship with these guys. We just won 51 games. I understand Patrick a little bit better now. We got to that playoffs. Now I know this is what I can do. This is what he can do. Now, he know he ain't always got to take the box. I could take the box. And then, you know, being Oak, that rebounder, strong guy.
And you had that spark plug of John Starks.
And I always said, I felt like Patrick, Oak, and myself, that was one of the best front lines in basketball, you know? And
just didn't go.
It just ended after 1 year. I mean, because I just think they tried to play hardball with me.
You think you guys would have been able, had that stayed together, you would have been able to beat the Bulls?
I can't say we could beat them because it did never happen, but I think we had a great opportunity because, like I said, we took them to 7 games, and they were tough.
Those games were so good.
And it was
good.
intense, and I just felt like every team got to go through something. The Bulls went through it with the Pistons. You know, the Lakers went through it with the Celtics, not winning in the Boston Garden. Everybody goes through something. I felt like we've went through it. We might have went through it a second year. Maybe this time we might have been in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I felt like we because we were still young. When I signed with Boston, I was 27 years old. So, you know, I felt like we had that opportunity, and I think we just pissed it away.
That would you say that was your most potential team setup that you ever played on? When you look back at your career,
I think it's one of the better teams I played on. I think that Phoenix team, man, we were really good. The only problem is San Antonio, the
David
Lakers,
Robertson,
the Lakers, and Portland all won more games than us. With, I think the Lakers winning 62, and I think Portland 58, and I think San Antonio 60, something like that. That West was thick back then. And then you got Utah that won 53, 54 games. We were fourth. You win 55 games, you like top 2 or 3 in your conference.
What small forward / power forward back then, whether just in general, did you just have so much respect for and was just like, God, he's so good. He's really good that you played against. I mean, I know there's a lot.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. It's for me, it's hard to name one, but when I first got in the league, James Worthen, no doubt about it. Out west, I'm gonna go out west first. Kiki Vandeweghe.
Great shooter, man. Portland Trailblazer.
He got the head ball, and he'll do the head, he'll jump, and he'll go this way and dunk it with his left. Oh, man. And then you got Alex English. You got
Doesn't get enough respect. Mark Aguirre.
You got Rodney McCray. You got Sean Elliott.
Arizona grad.
Oh, man. You got Purvis Short, Chris Mullins. And like I said, with Sacramento, you got Eddie Johnson. You got Larry Nance. I mean,
It just goes on and
the
on.
list goes on. Then you go out east. You got the Birdman. You got Johnny Newman. You got Glenn Rice. I mean, Bernard King, Albert King. I mean, it's just so many guys, man. You got Kelly Tripucka with Detroit back then. I mean, you just got so many guys, man. Then you got Chuck Person. And, you know, don't let him hit a 3. And I'm sitting there looking like, okay, this is how we going to do it tonight. Hey, Nate, 3-eye. 3-eye means isolation. And I'm going to take him one-on-one. 3 down means I'm going to post him up. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, he going to pull this shit tonight. So, I mean, you just had so many different types of players,
God, you played
man.
so many good guys, man.
Man, every night. And then don't imagine I got to go to the power forward slot. I got to deal with Oakley. I got to deal with
Carl Malone.
Otis Thorpe, Carl Malone, Kevin McHale. I mean,
it wasn't
that 80s and 90s, man. There was, I mean, when you got a break, you playing against the Timberwolves, or you playing against Miami, Vancouver. I'm missing one of them daggone teams. Toronto. You playing against some teams that are not as good when you get those teams. But them other teams, man, Orlando back then, you had to play them. No, this is before they got good, but this is like when they first were expansion team. Dude, those when your breaks came in. I mean, night in and night out. And then over time, what happens? All of them get good.
Yeah, and then you're getting older. It's getting.
Yeah.
I mean, you played so many games, so many minutes, and then the body starts coming into play. All right, I want to ask you one more question, and then Gus has some questions that subscribers sent into us when they found out you were coming. When it's all over and you retire, you're what, 34, 35, 36?
Yeah, 35.
Okay, 35 years old. You made really good money, you know, in the 80s and 90s, and then you're now retired. What is that like at 35 years old? Do you go and get a job? What do you do? What does the life go? Take me from like 37 years old on. Like, what do
I'm
you
still
do?
playing ball. I'm going.
Forget. I'm saying when you quit playing
No, that's
in
what I'm
Europe.
saying. But I'm still playing ball. I ain't just, you just don't stop playing unless you have a real severe injury.
But
I'm
you've
still-
set your money aside.
Yes, set my money aside. I am still playing ball, and I'm living off that money.
So you all right. So you got a financial advisor,
Right.
man. Same person since
Yes.
who was that?
Dean Witter, basically.
Okay, that's the name of the company.
Company,
Okay,
yeah.
Somebody you knew from your days in the NBA.
Yes.
Okay, and they have. This is a good story. They have managed your money very well. Obviously, that you really haven't gone. You know how so many guys professionally. That's hard, man. You're 35 years old and you got to live off this money for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it is tough because most guys live a certain lifestyle. And so, like me, my biggest purchase over all those years was the house I live in now for 27 years, 2 Oak Miss Court. And that was my biggest purchase.
You never had me over, but go ahead.
Yeah. And so I've always lived a modest life, And
So you didn't need a lot of money.
No.
And then you get a pension from the NBA,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
How much does it already pay you now? Or are you still?
Yeah, I get paid monthly.
And that's all based on tenure or how long you're in the NBA?
Yes. Yeah.
Does it matter how well you did?
No,
Like points?
it don't matter.
and-
No.
It just is. You play 10
Everybody,
years, you get.
I don't know the exact number, but the exact number is like 800 and whatever thousand, 800 and some dollars per year. So if you play 10 years, you get like $8,000. And I think you max out at 10 years. So if you play 20,
You're saying $8,000 a month,
yeah,
not a year, or is it
month.
okay?
a month. So it's like, I think it's 850, 860, 875. I don't know the number. Whatever the number is, then you divide that by, not divide, times it by the number of years you play. So if you play 4 years, you get it roughly around $3,200, $3,300, $3,400 a month if you play 4 years. If you play 3 years, you don't get anything because you only get the pension at 4.
So you hypothetically will get your $10,000-$12,000 a month for the rest of your life.
Yeah, till I die.
Really?
Yes,
But that's all taxable.
federal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, this advisor
It's
is
okay.
doing
It's
good
okay.
for you, right?
It's okay. It used to be a little less. It used to be a lot less. Than
Does it
that.
go up with inflation, or you lock
Yeah,
that
you
in?
go up in inflation.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So every year you get an inflation. Sometime they may skip a year, but then you may get it back the next year.
So, and inflation's so high right now,
Yeah.
they'll be really raising you up next
Yeah.
year. So, okay, that's a good story because a lot of these guys, but you're different in the sense you didn't live that this huge exorbitant life.
Right.
Had you done that, it's got to be, it's hard.
Well, you see, guys, even when I play, guys have changes and gobs of money on them, and they go to Vegas. I go to Vegas too, but I go to Vegas with a limit. Every once in a while, I'll break that limit, but I try to stick to what I'm taking and stuff. But some guys, they live for the moment. They don't live for the future. They live for the moment.
And they don't realize, but it's hard to be that age and really get it.
Yeah, I tell people, I could do pretty much what I want to do. When I was making $1 million, I looked at the tag. I don't make $1 million, I still look at the tag. So I just wasn't one of those ones. People say, if you look at the tag, if you got to look at the tag, you can't afford it. Well, if they tell me that, then I just walk out the place because I got to see what I'm paying for.
I get it.
Some people don't think that way.
I love hearing that story because when I hear people complain about, these athletes are making $40 million, blah, 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 I go, your mind is not developed in your 20s, and it's not really developed as much in your 30s. Like, you can lose this money,
Right.
and especially if you've got to live on it for the
Yeah.
next 40, 50 years.
The NBA do give you the tools you need. They'll come in and they'll look at your investment. They did that. They've been doing that for years. But when it's your money, you got the right to do whatever you want with your money and stuff. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, because you're making $41 million. And let's say, I'm gonna just hypothetically say you in Washington State, Texas, or Florida. Well, it's 39.9% being taken out. So let's just round it to 40. Because I don't know why they didn't just do it to 40. But so you sign a $100 million contract, you're only walking away with $60 million. People don't realize that. So if you got a $41 million contract, and then you got to pay your agent, that's 4%.
4%, not
Right.
10.
No, 4%. They only pay 10 if they do everything. So if they're your financial people too, then yes, you pay them 10%. It's 4%. That's what I paid David for, 4%. Now, you also got to realize this right here, California and all these states that these guys play in, they also tax you.
Yeah, ridiculous state taxes.
Yeah, and California is the worst. So now you're looking at 50%. So you sign a $41 million deal, you got to always remind that you ain't getting but 20.5, 20,500,000. That's where you're gonna get before you spend one penny. You've lost 50% of your money. And if you're in Toronto or somewhere, you lost more than that because their taxes are higher in Canada.
Listen, this is what Gus deals with this all the time. He builds these personal pensions because people don't realize all you got for sure outside of your you have a pension,
Right.
is Social Security.
Yeah.
And
But he has a plan too. He had a plan the whole time. That's what I tell folks.
but he lived in his within his means.
Right.
All right. These are rapid fire questions, quick answers. Gus, hit him with it.
All right. Trevor from Chapin, South Carolina. If you had a son,
Chapin.
Sorry, I'm a Pittsburgh guy. I'm sorry.
Wait, don't forget Glenn.
I thought you already asked this one, but we'll ask it. Glenn from
Oh, I
Boston.
did.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
already asked this one.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Glenn, we asked your question from Boston.
Trevor from Chapin, South
Chapin.
Carolina. Chapin. If you had a son that was highly recruited to play in college and you picked the team he would play for, where would he be going and why?
Well, I wouldn't pick the team for him. I would let him pick his own team.
But just pretend. Like, what guy would you want him to play for because you think the system and he would learn? You have to do it.
I had a son play D1 and I didn't pick it for him. It's hard for me to say that. I just think it would have to be his choice. I can't answer it.
Well, Trevor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Trevor. Moving on. Devin from Philadelphia, PA. Rank from last to first the following players based on who you think were the best for the period of time you got to play against or with them. So we have Magic Johnson, Jordan, Barkley, Ewing, and Malone.
Carl Malone.
That's not a bad group.
Last
you want
to
me to
first.
rank them?
Last to first.
When
Last
you
to first.
played with or against him.
I'm going to say Michael 1, Magic 2, Patrick 3, Carl 4, Barkley 5.
Okay. Wow.
All right.
Michael 1, Magic 2, Patrick Ewing 3, Carl 4, and Barkley 5. Man, those guys are going to be pissed at you when they hear this answer.
They'll be all right.
It'll be okay. All right. Alexis from Raleigh, North Carolina. If you were the head...
She's hot.
Is she?
I don't know, but I just think anybody named Alexis usually is hot.
Yeah. If you were the head coach and could handpick your starting five from the era you played, who would you be your starting five?
Well, that's a pretty good start. Well, hold on. Let me change it a little bit.
Out, right?
Let me just say this right here. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, and myself at small forward.
But you're the head coach.
You're the head
I'm
coach.
the head coach.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bird?
Dominique Wilkins.
Oh, we should
Yeah,
have
we
talked
didn't even
about
talk
him.
about him.
The human highlight. I love that guy.
All right, last one. David from Seattle. If you, Kemp, Peyton, Perkins, Ellis all played together in Seattle during your prime, and Carl and George Carl as your coach, do you think you would have played for a championship?
Possibly. The question is, we all were in our prime because Gary was 22, Sean was 23, I was 27, Dale was 29. That's kind of like right there. But, I think with George Carl, the style of defense that we played, even with Bernie Bickerstaff, was the same style that George Carl played. Maybe he could have got us over that top.
So
Bring the Sonics back.
why don't they have a team? I just don't get it.
Well, the late David Stern got pissed off with the Seattle people about the arena. You build a new arena for the Seahawks, new arena for the Mariners, and they renovated the old Seattle Coliseum, and that just pissed them off.
Do you ever hear from Sean Kemp? Do you keep in touch with him?
I actually seen him, remember I told you I was going to Seattle. I switched the date March. It's like in March I seen him in Seattle.
He lives there?
Yeah. Yes, he lives in Seattle.
I'm just curious, and this is my last question, then we're going to close it up. Out of all those cities that you played for and in, not the team, but rank the cities that you enjoyed living, and not tax wise, you just enjoyed the most.
Hard to do, man. I mean,
what would be your favorite city that
probably
you lived?
Seattle, since I had the most success there.
Okay,
And then
you liked living there, like
Right.
the environment there.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not like living around the water?
I've never been. It looks beautiful.
Yes, I mean, think about it. Charleston, look at that. You're living around a lot of water.
Yep.
I mean, it's nice.
But then you played for New
how
Jersey,
can
New
you-
York,
yeah,
and Boston,
and Phoenix.
and Phoenix.
But how can you not enjoy Phoenix?
I know. I love Phoenix. I
Waking
went to the
up-
University of Arizona, brother.
Waking up to 80-degree weather every morning.
Gorgeous.
And then
That's
how can
two.
you not like living in New York, New Jersey, the city that never sleeps?
So Boston's in your last place? From a living perspective, not from the environment.
Right now I'm just naming them. I'm not even putting them in order, except for the first one. But I love Boston. I mean,
I love it
I used
too.
to go to the Newberry Street. Give Mr. McDaniel what he wants. I don't know why them guys not playing you. And I'm like, thank you, sir. I don't know if he's a mafia guy or what, but we used to go to this restaurant, me and Sherman Douglas, at Chabello's. It used to be on Newberry Street in Boston, and we used to go in there and eat after the game. And give Mr. McDaniel what he wants and put it on me.
Oh man! All right, we're going to end it on that. The X, you came through as well. We knew you were going to do this, but it was a ridiculous, phenomenal show. Your career is going to now go to a whole nother chapter from being on the Shrimp Tank, Charleston. Great show today. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode, because I know everyone in this room, we totally did, and I can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful you came, man. And I hope people got something out of this and enhanced their life or their day or whatever, because it definitely did that for me. If you want to listen or watch other episodes, then please take advantage of our YouTube channel as well as podcast channels like Apple, Google, Spotify. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Our website is shrimptankpodcast.com/Charleston. Again, shrimptankpodcast.com/Charleston. You can hear other interviews like this. If you like this one, become a subscriber, a fan, or maybe you could be a guest like Mr. McDaniel. If your company is interested in learning about sponsorship opportunities for our show and where we're going to promote your company, please contact our producer, Kristen Kilman, at KK@EELLC.com. That's DOUBLEELLC.com. 2 E's in the middle. Or call her 843-936-6363. Lastly, if you think you or you know of someone that is an entrepreneur or leader making an impact in our world, or has ridiculous, unbelievable stories like Xavier McDaniel, then please contact Kristen again at 843-936-6353 and apply to be on the show. I'm Eric Elkins, and thank you, and keep grinding.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. But it's
Welcome to the Shrimp Tank Charleston Show. I'm your host, Eric Elkins, but in real life, I'm an entrepreneur and founder of Double E Insurance and Financial Solutions. Double E helps individuals and companies navigate through their financial insurance portfolios. Double E provides clients an entertaining and unique experience. The Shrimp Tank Charleston Show allows us the opportunity to interview and learn from the brightest entrepreneurs and leaders around. We dive into their journey and discover what drove them to become so successful. We will make sure we get out of them not only the wins, but also the losses that they have had on their journey. We are a nationally syndicated podcast that can be heard and watched on YouTube, Google, Apple, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can also tune in and subscribe to our shows on our website, shrimptankpodcast.com/Charleston, or check us out on the Double E website, double ELLC.com.